You are watching NickJessica. Sometime in the early 90s, Sunset Cable, created by Illusion Technologies, started to have strange intrusions, and it was connected to murders of not just children or teenagers, but even adults in some reports. That being Utnars, which resembles a pink bunny and a snake. However, it looks like there seems to be some damage to fictional characters, mascots, and many others, since despite being fictional it seems to have some spirits, which makes it turn into some ghosts. There has been some incidents of this fictional characters doing weird things that were out of character, like a Peppa Pig intrusion where they killed Rebecca Rabbit for revenge, and a strange Danny Phantom intrusion where Danny's powers got messed up after dying and causing him to be destructive, and afterwards he lost his ghost powers. And the Angry Beavers had two intrusions, where Utnars killed Norbert and Daggett, and then we cut to them in the afterlife, and then Norbert started to have a mental breakdown, and started vomiting magenta blood, which reminded me of the Danganronpa games where the blood color is magenta instead of red, which was a choice in the final game. Off topic but moving on. And that after Norbert and Daggett's death, Tree Flower, who was Norbert's girlfriend, started to kill everyone for revenge and even killed the Angry Beavers family, and then she stabbed her heart after killing everyone. However, Norbert was so emotional when this happened, and when Tree Flower came to this afterlife, Norbert started to break up with her, but because of this Tree Flower started to stab Norbert's heart so deep that it caused him to be traumatized and started having his heartstrings being tangled up. Not going to lie, but that one was the most messed up one. But however, as for mascots, the PBS Kids. Mascot started to kill Dash, but then when everything became black and white, handwritten text says "I forgive you Dash," and then cuts to black. While Nick Jr. and Noggin weren't safe from this either. There were various times when the Nick Jr. logo had either Jr. dying, but there was this one time where Jr. had enough and started to target Nickelodeon for replacing the Nick Jr. brand on Nickelodeon in favor with the Nickelodeon Playdate block. Despite that, Jr. ended up having remorse and Nick was saved. While on the other hand, Face now has his eyes completely hot pink being and looking like he is crying blood and looking very traumatic, and Piper managed to come back, but she now has a cape and glowing blue eyes. While on Noggin we don't know what happened to Fred with APH, but we do know that the Feet Face mascot started to have bloodshot red eyes, which was more redder compared to when they got attacked, and started to have heads of Piper, Moose, and Z, which we don't know what is the reason why. Meanwhile, Moose and Z might have had it even worse and started to be completely broken when Nick Jr. abandoned them in a new smart place to play branding, and Moose started to completely lose it. We don't know what happened to Utnars, since fairly recently no signs of attacks had happened since 2014. But the scars still remained, which still has the fictional characters still acting crazy on Sunset Cable, which seems to happen, while newer shows don't seem to be affected to my knowledge. However, there is still the Rabusagis, Red Dawn, and even Pythos, which they seem to still be around. As for Jasper, we don't know what happened to her, but they might be still investigating ever since her disappearance. Thankfully my boyfriend and his aunt weren't killed, since they only had Sunset Cable with almost no problems, and since then had switched to a different cable provider. And ever since I have been documenting almost what had happened of all of these attacks, we started to do an independent research which focuses on more niche attacks that don't revolve around Utnars for the most part. But with the Rabusagis, there seems to be two that stand out and have never been seen before. One of them, the blue one, is named Jack, while the other one seems to not have a name at the moment, which is Orange, but it might be his younger cousin, since they have been related to the same family. Since then there was a report of a kid somewhere of the ages 6 to 8 named Jack, which had died sometime in 2004. But later that year he started to hijack a message that seemed cryptic about some video. On the other report there was a report of a child that died sometime in early 2005, which was from the same family, but their name haven't been documented yet, but they could have redacted their name since then, which made it harder to research, but might be for the sake of the family's own privacy, so I obviously don't want to invade their privacy. But as of now there have been a few videos I had found related to Jack, and his related cousin. So let's start. The first known instance of Jack intruding started on a rerun of the first episode of The Backyardigans. Sometime when the show was new at the time back in 2004, But later, like a year or so later in 2005, when the new episodes for the rest of Season 1 started to premiere in the US. But during the split-end credits of Miss Spider Sunny Patch Friends, the split-end credits got intruded by Jack. And here's what happened.
Ow. Rain.
Week we're bringing you adventures that are new, like building huts and digging bones and yip, that Yardigan's big.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I just moved to an amazing place called Lazy Town.
It looks like that Jack was totally pissed off when Albino, who seemed to put him in his book, which we know is a book to put all the bad Rabusagis in there to discipline them. But I guess it didn't help the fact that it was another world. And since then Albino kept telling him to calm down, but yet he keeps getting more frustrated and angrier. Most notably, this is the first time we get to see him without being dark from hiding from the shadows. The next one is a video where NickJessica becomes the end but from the Sunset Cable feed, but however when the end started with Instant Star at the beginning it was hijacked, but cut back to the show when Jack was done, but this is what he had to say about NickJessica shutting down.
Figure It Out was recorded in front of a live studio audience in Nickelodeon Studios at Universal Studios, Florida.
You are watching NickJessica.
So NickJessica is done. Don't worry, I feel the same.
Jude?
Yep.
You still alive?
Yeah, no problem. I feel great.
She's on too.
Now Jack first started with a random message for someone that either missed watching NickJessica and just for it to be replaced by the now Teen Nick. But cuts to him wearing a hat, which he does sometimes wear at times. And he even talked about how NickJessica king at the time, and the shutdown of Nickelodeon Studios. But I need to explain about that. Sometime in the mid-2000s, like a year before the end became 24/7, NickJessica started to act up, having a loop of the channel and starting to glitch at times, like repeating the same episode, and even repeating segments like bumpers and interstitials for the channel. And even the channel kept skipping and acted buggy at times. Which might have explained why they kept it autopilot and not paying attention when things started to go wrong. This is a common flaw with autopilot channels, since there is no one there to fix the mistakes or is in charge of the channel. It causes a lot of stuff like this to happen. As for Nickelodeon Studios, let me explain. First opened on June 7, 1990, located at Universal Studios Florida, in Orlando, Florida. But on April 30, 2005 the studio closed down. But thankfully it wasn't demolished, but they replaced it with the Blue Man Group show on June 1, 2007, but the rest of the studio still had some of the leftover Nickelodeon stuff inside there. Back to Jack, after dropping his hat, he even states that he wants to find the people who missed Nickelodeon Studios or grew up wanting to go there but never got to after its closure. So they can be safe from Utnars. But if they get killed by her, Jack will see them if they end up being Rabusagi's. You can tell that, when the word she is in pink, referring to Utnars, and the word I'll is in periwinkle referring to Jack. And now, for a last one, we will go to Nick at Night. Back in May 2009, before the new Nickelodeon logo was revealed. And this is where we see Jack's cousin.
Kiss begins with K. Boys, wake up. When you use Windex, the streak-free shine lets in more light.
I'm gonna be late for school. Come on. When do you think she's gonna tell him it's Saturday?
Let in the light with Windex. SC Johnson, a family company.
Keep it here for an hour of Family Matters. Then, back-to-back George Lopez. It's your night. Nick at Night. Nick at Night wants to know, how Lopez can you go? Watch George and try it yourself. Not bad. How about this one?
Why are you hitting yourself?
Ooh. And don't forget...
Superior Preference by L'Oreal.
I went to pick up my prescription and
According to Jack's cousin, it seems like they are tired of staying in the forbidden world, and it stated that he confessed about his true life, where it seems his childhood has been awful when his parents lack support or even cared for him, which seems neglectful and abusive. And he watched Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon to escape his terrible reality and parents. But after being killed from presumably Utnars, Jack's cousin will find out that his parents were shocked in fear, which however started an argument and he felt like there was a divorce. But in some reports Jack's family stated there was a divorce, which could refer to his aunt and uncle. But it wasn't specific. Jack's parents even wanted to take care of his cousin and to prevent getting abused, but since he died it caused both of Jack's parents to go over a huge argument which tore apart their family. I have been seeing a lot of people on Hot Topic warning people not to use Sunset Cable, and there have been protests. Despite everything, Sunset Cable keeps putting messages apologizing on what has been happening over the years. But we don't know where things are going to go. Since everyone has been scared to life, the wounds get even more bigger because of this. And there's more. There have been a lot of missing intrusions, such as the Dora Muerte incident on Univision and even on Nickelodeon, where after Dora died it ended up causing her friends to die, and this causes her family to panic after Dora's disappearance. And then sings a song about death in Spanish. Later Univision had to apologize later that day and tomorrow for the incident. While there was even more, such as Avatar, Aang's Forgotten Memories. After Aang died he lost his airbending along with his other bending, and the worst part was during the middle of the last part of Sozin's Comet. However, Aang's avatar state cannot be used anymore because of his death. Afterwards Zuko apologizes for what happened, and everyone thought that Sunset Cable thought of what happened, but that wasn't the actual ending. Fans complained on the quote-unquote alternate ending, and Nickelodeon stated that such ending never existed. There was more like, when the all grown-up characters died except for Angelica and Susie, and however it felt like it was the Rugrats theory but it was all grown up. Long story short, that theory is how Angelica pretends that after the babies quote-unquote died she imagined that they are still alive in her mind. Which was debunked. After all of this happened, it feels like there's even more. As of now we will have to wait until there's even more of these intrusions. I do hope everyone is safe. Anyways, this is NickJessica. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya.